Hello, everybody. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me today, giving me just a little bit of your time. You know that I appreciate you. This is a sports show, 6 to 7, every day here on Hot News Talk Radio. It's interesting when we get into conversations about choking, about collapsing under pressure. And the concept is different when we go from team sports to individual sports. But I wasn't here yesterday. I was out of town. It was look, okay, so here's the thing. But I did catch the Masters. I caught Sunday for sure. I didn't get Saturday. Obviously, I am Adventist, so I was not watching the Masters on Saturday, which is the day that I worship on. But Sunday had plenty in store. Jordan Spieth, the defending Masters champion, absolutely collapsed. And I was so sad that I wasn't going to be here Monday to talk about this, because I want to talk about choking, because as you know, I don't like to just talk about things in sports. There's other angles to look at. There's other ways to see an issue. And I especially think that many of us people, us fans, we watch sports and we do not pay attention to what the intricacies of a sport are, right? We just have our buzzwords that we like to use, and we don't think particularly about what goes into something like a collapse, goes into something like a choke job. We just look at Jordan Spieth, we look at what happened to him on 12 at the Masters and go, you know what? He choked. And that's it. We just slap the label on there without knowing like what all goes into a moment like that happening. So I'd love to talk about that, break that down a little bit. But before I do that, I got to talk to you about the platforms. I think you all know. Where can you find us? Where can we find you? Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Those are the best places. Search Hot News Talk Radio. We're the first thing that comes up, and you know we appreciate hearing from you. The conversations that you start, we love it. And when you tune into the conversations that we start, we definitely appreciate that as well. If you want to listen to Hot News Talk Radio, which I highly recommend, not just this show, but all of the other shows that we have. And if you're a sports fan, you're going to want to listen to Colin Cowherd. He's on from 12 to 3. And he's got a lot of interesting ideas too. Colin, best sports talk host in America. Okay, I mean, like, the guy is phenomenal, and his takes, he's just got such interesting ideas. Like, you just have to listen to him. But other shows on our network as well. Mike Gallagher, check him out. Conservative justice warrior, I believe is what he calls himself, and he definitely is that. I mean, intelligent guy, great show as well. So I recommend all of those shows. Not only can you listen to all of those shows here on YouTube, which we stream live, okay, and you can catch our classic episodes, see what our hosts look like, which is great, because to me, growing up as a kid, listening to radio, one of the things that I never really paid attention to before, and now pay attention to the older I get, is that people on radio never look quite like what you thought they looked like. Okay, like, I used to grow up listening to this guy named Steve Zabin, and Steve Zabin sounded phenomenal. He had this edge to him. Everything he said was controversial. I mean, like, everything that came out of the man's mouth was controversial. And then you finally see him and you're like, what? He's bald? Nothing wrong with being bald, but I just didn't envision a guy that was bald when I was listening to him. What do you think that I look like? Check us out on YouTube and hotnewstalkradio.com. We stream live 247 365. So those are all of the places that you can get us. Also, the Hot News Talk Radio 1, 2, 3 promo. You can win $124 cash weekly or $124 in Five Guys food prizes. Simply guess who's going to be first, second, and third place at the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. And you've got an opportunity to win $124 in cash or food, which, you know, I'm cool either way. I love burgers. Like, if you gave me $124 in burgers, I'd be fine. If you gave me $124 in cash, I might spend it all on burgers. Like, that's a great opportunity right there. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So let's jump into this Masters thing a little bit, because we talk about choke jobs, and we're talking about Jordan Spieth, who doesn't have a history of being a choker, and it's a relatively short history, and it's a relatively short career that he's had so far. He's just been a rookie, and so he hasn't done a whole lot in terms of games played, but he has won a lot. Like, in the small time that he's been playing, he's been pretty dominant, to the point where we're like, we haven't seen a guy do this stuff since Tiger. And so at the Masters, he falls apart, and you're just looking at him fall apart and going, what on earth is that? Like, what just happened here? It was one of those Masters moments you're never going to forget for all the wrong reasons. Like, nobody wants to be part of that Masters moment. Okay. Tiger Woods hits the shot, the Nike swoosh stops at the lip of the cup before it drops in dramatically. That's the Masters moment you want to be a part of. The quadruple bogey at Amen Corner for Jordan Spieth, you do not want to be a part of that. That is something you do not want to be remembered for in any kind of way. And you have to look back on him and go, he had this thing more or less in the bag. When you take into account the weather conditions, the fact that nobody else was really running with him the way he was, especially after day one, he gave himself a big enough lead that you're just looking at this and going, how is this guy hitting this directly into the drink? Like, that went right into the water from where he hit it. And then the next shot he had just went right into the bunker. Like, it was just a terrible hole for him. He dropped 7 on himself, and you're just in awe. In like 3 holes, he has just eradicated what he had going on. And I don't know if that's just him falling apart or if that's just bad luck. Because we want to say, oh, choker. But I think that's a label I'd be more likely to use if it was something that he had a history of doing. If he had a history of losing his marbles and in the big moments, but he won the Masters a year ago. Okay. And I like when Rory McIlroy collapsed at the US Open, like, you jump back to, I want to say 2011, and he hadn't won a major yet. And he had a lead, and we were like, okay, this is Rory's time. He's going to finally put his name in the books. And then he comes up on the back, 7, and just all but implodes. Twitter has just got a series of hashtags for Rory McIlroy, hashtag poor Rory. Like Twitter was just not kind to him at all. And by the way, Twitter wasn't kind to Jordan either. You know how I feel about Rory McIlroy. I just don't like his face. There's nothing wrong with him. I think he's probably a good person. I just don't like his face. And that's that. I don't like his face, so I just don't root for him. That's just how that goes. Jordan Spieth went to the University of Texas, so I root for him. Like, there's this arbitrary, my rooting patterns in golf. But with Rory, he legitimately didn't deserve the criticism that he got, except when he imploded, it made sense. Like, he hadn't won the big one yet. Like, there's just a mental hurdle you have to get over. And so it's fair to go, okay, the pressure came and he wilted. But with Jordan did this already. And when he did it, he cruised. He cruised to victory. Like, there was plenty of times last year for him to just mentally fall apart and start overthinking what he was doing, and he never did it. So this isn't that. I don't think this is mental weakness. And none of us have ever been out on that field with those stakes. And so we just don't know what caused it. Okay, we talked before the Masters started about Bubba Watson being a little bit vulnerable for the media and talking about his anxiety that he has. And people say, he hates his caddy and all of this stuff. And really what it is just the people give him the jitters. And he just doesn't like people. And so he kind of takes it out on his caddy, which he's certainly aware of. But we've never been out on the field with that amount of pressure, with that many eyeballs watching us. Like, if there were 1 million people watching you do your job, would that not affect how you did your job? And does that play into you just don't have the mental fortitude to do this? I don't know that necessarily all adds up to that. I want to say that Jordan Spieth just had a bad shot at that hole that just set him back. And once you start to get into that negative headspace where it's just like, oh no, oh Lord, what have I done here? And you just start goofing up and you just keep going. It's like the snake devouring its own tail. It's just a vicious cycle of one mistake leading to another mistake. And that doesn't necessarily speak to mental fortitude. It's just you overcorrect. You make one mistake, and so to compensate for that mistake, you overcorrect, which leads to more mistakes. I see the same thing with Andrew Luck with the Colts. Andrew Luck is a brilliant quarterback. I don't think that anybody's looking at him and going, yeah, that guy's overrated. He's pretty accurately rated. We know he's good. So why does he throw a billion interceptions? Well, he makes one mistake, and then he tries to overcompensate for his mistakes. So he forces passes that don't need to happen. He sees things that aren't there because he's looking to try and fix his previous mistake. I mean, that's not mental weakness. If anything, it might be too much mental toughness to go, you know what, this is all on me to fix, instead of going, okay, I need to take a step back here and see what it is that I'm doing. You might be too mentally tough for your own good. Okay, I mean, you see it in a guy like Brett Favre, right? Like just throwing a billion interceptions because he's just like, look, the last interception doesn't count. And Brett Favre can throw 3 interceptions and a half because he's not thinking about the last one that he threw. Like a little bit of weakness is not a terrible thing in that case. Okay, I don't think he just fell apart. I honestly have trouble believing that he just fell to pieces. He didn't. He really didn't. I don't think that he did. Just watching the way he was playing, but you could see it like, oh my gosh, this is getting worse. And you want to know, you do want to know, like you want to be inside of his head and go like, what the heck was that? And then because the tradition of the Masters is as such that you lose the tournament, Jordan Spieth won it last year. He collapses at the end, and now he's got to put that green jacket on the other guy. I wouldn't have been able to do it. Honestly, I might have punched a person. Like that. Now that's mental weakness right there. Now this is that's another reason, right? Like how can you be mentally weak and take a green jacket that should have been yours and put it on another person? Like you're putting the trophy that could have been yours on another person. That's craziness. I wouldn't have been able to do it because I would have been beyond angry. Just beyond angry. Certainly, there's a lot of respect in the game of golf, especially at Augusta, because of the nature of that tournament. Maybe it just brings out the best in people, but I wouldn't have been able to. I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't have been able to. That's just one of those things. I've got to put the trophy on the other guy. Yeah, if he kicked my butt, I was never in it from the beginning. I could put the green jacket on him, but I collapsed at the end. I was winning it, and then I collapsed at the end. I wouldn't have been able to do it. Maybe it's just me. I would not have been able to do that. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Just talking about the Masters. I'm like, what the heck it is that just happened to Jordan Spieth? I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like that. I think the thing that I've seen the most like that is the 2014 NBA Finals with the Spurs and the Heat, and the Spurs ended up losing that game, the game 6 at the very, very end because of a series of things that happened. Greg Popovich pulls Tim Duncan out of the game, and that was like a team collapse, which is different because like a lot of different things have to happen. In this case, the coach did something wrong, the player did something wrong, and another player did something wrong. So you just had Greg Popovich pulls Tim Duncan out of the game, And then the Heat get a rebound that we're almost certain Tim Duncan could have gotten because he's enormous and one of the greatest to ever play the power forward position ever. He's taken out of the game. Then Kawhi Leonard misses a couple of free throws, which you got to make those, especially at that point in the game. And then on top of that, beyond even that, you've got the rebound getting kicked out to Ray Allen. Nobody's there to get a hand up at Ray Allen in time. He gets a clean enough look at the basket. I think that part wasn't anybody's fault in particular because he was defended. He just wasn't like defended immediately. And the Spurs kind of implode. The game 6, they lose it. The Heat tie up the series, go back to Miami and win game 7. And that's the end of that. And the Spurs would get their revenge later. But this is one of those things where like, do the Spurs getting their revenge and just completely vindicating it? Because like that's one of the great collapses in NBA Finals history. And by winning the next year, you just forgot. What does Jordan Spieth have to do to get this out of our minds? Or because this is an individual sport, is there anything that he can do? Right? Like, even if he won the Masters again next year or won all of the majors for the rest of the year, right? Like he just won the PGA Championship and he won the US Open. What else would he have to do for us to just be like, oh yeah, remember that one time that Rory not Rory? Well, yeah, we remember Rory too, but remember that time that Jordan just fell apart at the Masters? What would make that not as reticent to us, as easily accessible to our memories? Because I can't think of what he could do. Like, even if he won the next 3 Masters, you'd still go, so what happened to this one? Like, you could be looking at one of the great golfers of all time, and you're just looking at that one blip on his thing. And here's the thing, because Phil Mickelson is I wouldn't call him a choker, but Phil Mickelson has the reputation of being highly inconsistent, right? He's just, when he's on it. When he's off, it doesn't look like the man can play golf professionally. And you wonder how it is that he got to where he got. When he's bad, he's horrible. And I'm looking at Phil and going, we have the sample size on Phil. We know what Phil is. We don't have that same sample size on Jordan Spieth. He's only been playing golf professionally for a year now, basically. And do we hold him to that same standard of, like, we know who you are? Because I think that definitely threw us for a curve. Before that happened, we were like, Jordan Spieth is great. Did we call him like the greatest too soon? Like, just the best of this generation of golfers. He certainly came out as the hottest, the most prolific of the bunch. But with the sample size that we had, we didn't know a collapse was in Jordan Spieth, and we were all thrown off from it. But should we have been? Was it possible that he could do this a few more times in his career? That he could have a very successful career, win a lot of majors, win a lot of tournaments, and just have the odd collapse here and there? And is that okay? Can we be okay with that without going, he choked, that's a choke job? That Jordan Spieth, he just proved he's not mentally tough. I don't think that's a thing. I don't think it's very fair. He hasn't given us a big enough sample size. His career is 1 year and a few tournaments old. And sure, we want that next Tiger Woods. We want it, and we want it bad, because what we really want is actual Tiger Woods back. But that's not going to happen. If we're going to be completely honest with ourselves, that's not going to happen. His back is messed up. His head is messed up. We don't know where he's at, and we don't know where he's going to be when he does return from his taking this season off. I think it'll help him a lot. It'll give him a shot to win something. But that scary, dominant Tiger, we want that guy back on the tournament. And if Tiger can't come back that way, we're looking for the next guy. And when Jordan won the Masters last year and just ripped the field apart, we were like, there's our next Tiger, without giving him enough career to see what Jordan Spieth's career would look like. We were just like, he's Tiger 2.0. And we jumped on that bandwagon, and it wasn't fair. You're listening to AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We'll talk about more Master stuff, and I have an opinion on the Golden State Warriors. Tomorrow, they're going for the historic record, the best regular season team in NBA history at 73-9. If they can win tomorrow, Vegas has them as a 16-point favorite. And I'll talk about that game and more Masters next.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Finding just the right place to live can be a daunting task. Stop your search. In Chattanooga, the place to live is Cross Creek Villas for under $1,000 and available for immediate move-in. You can enjoy this 2-bedroom split layout, over 1,000 square feet, 9-foot ceilings, an extra-large patio or balcony. And don't forget to ask about their preferred employer program. Cross Creek Villas is a gated community, offering a 24-hour fitness facility, a beautiful pool and hot tub, and Cross Creek Villas is pet-friendly. Stroll the pet park with your best friend and enjoy the free use of their business center and clubhouse. Plus, if you mention you heard this on the radio, your application fee is free. Cross Creek Villas, close to downtown off of Highway 58. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com. That's crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. That's 894-0446. Redefine the way you live at Cross Creek Villas. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. Cross Creek Villas. Rick Davis Golden Diamonds has got on his sunglasses. He's buying so many glittering diamonds today, he's almost going blind looking at the haul. Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, come on in today. He'll give you top dollar on a sparkling field of diamonds, an ocean of value that he wants to convert into cash for you. Come on in today, sell your diamonds. You'll get the biggest wad of dollars anywhere for your gleaming diamond. Rick Diamonds Golden Diamonds. Rick wants to meet you in person today. Diamonds, Rick loves them. He'll take your diamonds and gold and you'll walk out with ready-made money in your pocket. Hundreds, 50s, 20s, and $10 bills. Cash, cash, cash at Rick Davis Golden Diamonds. Rick Davis, Brainerd Road near Eastgate Town Center. Cash, 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 and more cash.
Expect fair skies to continue through the nighttime. Chilly overnight, though. Lows into the mid, maybe upper 40s. For Wednesday, a beautiful day with lots of sunshine, comfortable highs near 70. For Wednesday, a few passing clouds, but still mainly dry, highs back into the upper 60s. With more than 400,000 quality parts and over 90 years of experience, Napa can help you keep just about anything on the road. So stop by your local Napa Auto Parts store and keep it running longer and stronger with Napa know-how. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, I'm Adam Disco, the owner and the head surgeon of Cell Surgeon. Broken screen? You need it repaired now. We can do that. We'll have your phone repaired within the hour. No hassle, no mess, no stress. We love fixing cell phones. Your cell phone has become part of your daily activities. You've noticed your cell phone is not charging properly. It could be a charge port issue or your charger. Come in for free. We'll test your phone and your charger. You have an expensive phone. Don't feed it with a cheap charger. A cheap charger can actually damage your device. Our high-quality chargers are affordable. Cell Surgeon, 140 Northgate Mall Drive, right next to Old Chicago Pizza. 423-668-0100. www.thecellsurgeon.com. Please like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thecellsurgeon.
Get $10 off a screen repair. Mention Hot News Talk Radio. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out. Cell Surgeon in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life.
Hot News Talk 1240.
So we were talking a little bit about how it is that we even define collapse, because I don't think we have a very fair understanding of it, especially when we're not the ones in the pressure situation. Right? A receiver drops a pass late in the game that he should catch, and everyone's just like, wow, what a goof. What a loser. He didn't catch that pass. And I understand the outrage, but also, I mean, that's difficult, right? You're just like, you're going over the middle. Someone's going to crack you over your head, and you take your eyes off the ball for a second and you drop it. And everybody's killing you later over something that, like, none of us could do that. None of us can do that. What it is that we're asking athletes to do, none of us actually are capable of doing. Otherwise, we'd be there doing it. And I know I would, because there's no way I'd turn down millions of dollars to be good at sports. That is what I wanted. How I ended up here was I realized that there's no need in professional sports for 5'10" basketball players that aren't really great at shooting. Like, I know, like, I'm not great at sports, but I love it, so I'm here. If I could do that and make millions, I would do that. Just, I love radio. It's been my passion for most of my life. But if I could play sports instead of talk about sports, I'd be out there playing it right now. But none of us are capable of doing that. So, like, when we talk about collapse and we talk about breakdowns, do we really know what we're talking about? And is there anything in your actual life that you can even equivocate to that? Because you don't have, if you're an accountant or you work at Volkswagen or Amazon, like, you don't have a million people watching you. Okay, at Amazon, you've got a lot of people watching you. Like, they're just managers, like, looking at your numbers and making sure that you do stuff. And they will look over your shoulder, and if you're not doing it fast enough, they'll find you and let you know. I worked there. It's interesting. But what I'm saying is, if you have people looking at you just with a bunch, like, what defines pressure? Is it that the people are watching? I don't think so. I think the people are watching and they expect you to win. That's where the pressure comes in. When people are looking at you and they expect you to do something incredible, that's where the pressure comes in. And you're doing something incredible and it's being taken for granted, right? Like Rory, I keep calling him Rory. Jordan comes around on the 12th hole, right? He's at Amen Corner, and Amen Corner just obliterates him. But, like, if he rounds that corner and he gets a par, he probably wins the tournament. And this is a different story entirely, because the par is the least we would have expected from him. And that's a difficult hole. Like, that hole specifically has caused a lot of people a lot of grief. It is almost, at this point, like, I don't even know the history behind why they call it Amen Corner. I would actually love to check that out, because ironically, there are words that you would use when you reach that hole, and I guarantee you, if you don't survive that hole, none of those words is amen. You say amen if you bogey. That hole has caused a lot of people to put up a lot of big numbers, and he put up a 7. I mean, that's not great, but he's not the only one that's ever struggled there. But if he had gotten a par, that would have been what we expected. Like, this really incredible thing to do. What he did was more in line with the history of what that hole has done to people, which is just chewed them up and spat them out and then asked for seconds. So how we define a choker, I mean, at that hole specifically, like, we haven't seen this from Jordan, but we haven't seen that much Jordan. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me, making me just a little part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. I honestly do. I'd like to make a correction here about the 1, 2, 3 NASCAR promotion that we've got going on at Five Guys, if you guess the first, second, and third place winners of the upcoming Sprint Cup Series race this weekend, okay, at Five Guys, you will get $124 in cash and $124 in Five Guys food price. So I thought that was an either-or situation. I was wrong. You get both. And you know what I would do? I would spend the $124 of the food prize on burgers, and then I would spend the cash on burgers because I love burgers. They're tasty, and they make me happy. I'm just throwing that out there. They are just one of the tiny joys on this earth. Burgers. So that with that promotion, you get cash and you get burgers. You don't have to spend it all on burgers, but I would, but I can't participate because I work here. So you go ahead, reap the benefits, reap the rewards of eating at Five Guys burgers and fries. So I want to talk about the Golden State Warriors tomorrow because I think that there's still something about the Golden State Warriors that we don't like. We like them, but we don't like them, right? Like we like them because we like all the dominant teams. We like it when teams show up, crush opponents, shimmy shake, celebrate, make it look cool. And Steph Curry definitely makes it look cool. We like the Warriors for all of those reasons, but I think we don't like the Warriors still. Not really. And they're going to win tomorrow against the Grizzlies. I honestly believe that. If they didn't, I would be shocked. Now, they've struggled against the Grizzlies in the past. Like, that's just not a team that they match up particularly well against. But they're going for the record, 73-9. If they lose, they'll tie the Bulls record for the single best regular season that an NBA team has ever had. And honestly, the Bulls tying that record is failure. I was talking to a Warriors fan this past weekend in California, and failure is tying the record, which goes back to the thing we were saying about Jordan Spieth. There are things that we ask professional athletes to do that they're extraordinary things, and if they fail to do that thing, it is tantamount to failure. Extraordinary is winning 72 basketball games in a season, but we would think of the Warriors as failures if they didn't win 73. Crazy, no? Tomorrow's their day to do it, and we'll talk about the game that's happening alongside that as well, Kobe Bryant, in a little bit. But with the Warriors, I think we ultimately don't like this team. I'm getting back on track here. We don't like this team because the Warriors play basketball and it looks so different from anything we've ever seen, and because it goes against conventional basketball wisdom. It's not just that it looks different. Like, if it just looked different, that'd be one thing. Yeah, it looks a little bit odd. That's a little like the way the Spurs dismantled the Heat in their revenge season. The way that they just took apart Miami, that's a little different, but it looks like basketball that we recognize. Sure, there's a lot of cutting, there's a lot of movement, the ball is all over the place, but you still got Tim Duncan as a big down low. Like, it looks like basketball we recognize. The game still is running through big guys with the Spurs. The Spurs can shoot threes, but the Spurs are okay with taking twos. The Warriors are jacking up a lot of threes at just historic rates. Okay, we've never seen anything that's looked like this. And it's going against conventional basketball wisdom. The way they shoot long threes early in the shot clock. You're not supposed to do that. The way that the game runs through their point guard, then their shooting guard, you're not supposed to do that. The way that their smallest lineup is actually better than the one with Andrew Bogut in it, their actual 7-footer, you're not supposed to do that. And they're just breaking all of these rules of convention and the way we thought the game was supposed to look and the way we thought the game was supposed to be played, and we don't trust it. Okay? Charles Barkley said for years, a jump shooting team can never win a championship. A jump shooting team can never win a championship. And finally, the Golden State Warriors punch through. They prove it wrong. They're a jump shooting team. They win a title. They were pretty much unopposed all their way through. Sure, they were down 2-1 to Cleveland, and they were down 2-1 to Memphis. But if you watch those series, they were never really ever in danger. And you're just looking at them and going, this team is beating people by a point differential that doesn't make any sense. And what they're doing is doing it in a way that John Wooden would have told you, that's crazy. You can't play that way. Basketball greats would have told you can't play that way. And we know this because Phil Jackson is still trying to use the triangle offense. And it doesn't work in today's NBA. It just doesn't. You can't use it. It's not usable anymore. You just don't have those pieces. And so, like, the way the NBA works, it's insane to me to believe that we're still pounding the Warriors with all of this extra stuff. Like, you keep having Scottie Pippen and a number of other NBA legends are like, if the 96 Bulls played the 2016 Warriors, they'd sweep them in a 7-game series. Like, first off, the NBA was so different back then. Which era are we playing in? Because, like, the 96 Bulls playing in today's rules would get smoked by the Warriors. But the Warriors playing in 96 with the rules in 96 would get swept by the Bulls. So whose rules are we even using? Like, the rule book has changed to allow a team like the Warriors to even exist. That's just basic sports. If you take today, that Broncos team that won the Super Bowl this season and put them back against the Steel Curtain Steelers, which rule book are we using? The way the NFL has opened up the passing game now or then? Okay. Or you take this Panthers team and put it back there where we don't even account for what, like, the read option is and does back then. Do they win that or do the rules affect how you can run the read option? Like, there's so many things to account for, and we're just going, oh, they had Jordan and Pippen. They're better. Nice. Let's be totally unscientific about this, of course. It doesn't make any sense. And it's one of those things that, like, the Warriors have already won a championship. They, this season, have obliterated everyone in their path. Okay, they've lost 9 games this season. 9. You haven't seen that since the Bulls. You haven't seen it. What else do they have to do to prove to you that they're a good basketball team? Like, and there's still that stigma of, well, a jump shooting team can't win a championship, which is absurd because they already did it. But you've got the whole angle about the teams the Warriors played last year. There were injuries. You know, the Grizzlies lost Mike Conley, which definitely affected the way that series went. I think the Warriors still win that series, but it's a tougher series with Conley there than without him, for sure. Then they play Cleveland, and Cleveland's already lost Kevin Love, and then Kyrie goes down in game 1. And it changes the landscape of that series because all of a sudden we're talking about Matthew Dellavedova. Like, who cares? Except you have to. He's the starting point guard now. So when it comes to the Warriors' run last year, there's a whole lot of ifs and no, but look at the injuries and look at the things. And I'm telling you, this team is still the best team that we've seen in years. And I don't understand why we don't trust them. There's still this feeling like they could lose. And I understand that feeling, by the way. I'm not criticizing anybody because I myself feel that feeling of why do I feel like the Warriors could bump into somebody in the playoffs and lose? Part of it, I guess, is that they're in the Western Conference. That's a murderer's row if ever I saw one. But let's face it, when the Warriors meet the Clippers, or if they meet the Clippers, they'll embarrass them. And they'll embarrass a lot of other teams that show up. And it's going to be bad. It's going to be real bad. And when they play the Spurs, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that most of all, because I think the Spurs are the one team in the past 2 years that will test Golden State, that will really test them. And I know that they've beaten the Spurs, but Greg Popovich, have we really seen his whole hand? Has he really shown us everything? Because I don't think so. Greg Popovich is a sneaky guy, and I don't trust him any farther than I can throw him. And he's like 6 foot something. I don't think I can throw him all that far. I don't think we've seen everything that the Spurs have. And so I really think the Spurs could really test the Warriors. The NBA championship goes through those two teams, which is a little unfortunate because I'm a fan of the Eastern Conference. The team I root for is in the Eastern Conference. They didn't make the playoffs. They're the Wizards. They didn't make the playoffs. So I'll be watching a lot of Western Conference basketball. I'm not chained anymore to watching terrible Eastern Conference basketball. I'll keep an eye on the Raptors because I think they've got a shot to really beat Cleveland, to be honest with you. Miami's got a shot to beat anybody the way that they play. They're incredible. And then that's about it. I'm not tied to anybody, and I don't really care. I'm not going to watch the first round of the Eastern Conference. Really, I'll just keep an eye on it, sort of from afar. Watch the highlights. The West is where I'm going to be paying attention. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose, and it's money time. It's money time. What do I mean money time? Money time as in the Lakers. The Lakers, who are, by all accounts, just a terrible, terrible franchise of the last few seasons, but this season specifically, their dysfunctionality has become, on the court and off the court, a real issue for them. And the only thing making this season even worth paying attention to them for is this is Kobe Bryant's last season. And Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers have ridden a money train, the likes of which we have never seen before. Okay? We have never seen what the Lakers are doing before. The Lakers are taking Kobe Bryant, they're taking his brand, and Kobe's taking his own brand, and they are just turning this into a cash cow of epic proportions. Like Kobe, on top of like regular Kobe Bryant memorabilia, on top of his jersey, on top of his shoes that already exist, the Lakers and Kobe are making special edition jerseys, special edition shirts, special edition shoes. And all of these things are carrying such a hefty price tag, and people are paying for it. And I understand Kobe Bryant is amazing. He spent 20 years playing basketball with one team. We're not going to see that again for a while. Maybe Kawhi Leonard might do it. We'll see him in 16 years to see if that actually comes to fruition. Okay? But if you want to see Kobe Bryant play for his last game in Los Angeles, and this is a terrible basketball team now. This is an awful, awful basketball team. For just the moment of being in the building of Kobe Bryant's last game is going to cost you a lot of money. And this is outside of the shoes I was talking about, and the special jerseys, and the regular jerseys, and the regular shoes that people are just buying up right now because it's his last season. And the cash keeps rolling in for the Lakers. You want to see Kobe Bryant play his last game? You'll need to pay at least $800. 800 buckaroos, okay, to see the 5-time NBA champion play his last regular season game. People are paying to just be in the building, okay, with ticket prices listed at over $2,100 and selling for about $1,400. To even get in the arena, you'll be paying around $800. Crazy, right? To watch the Lakers, who are terrible. And this goes back to show you, by the way, that people put value on things because they're shiny. And we've known this for years, right? Like, think about what it is that gold actually is. Even if you're one of those people that believes we should go back to the gold standard, we should back the money with gold. Okay? Not disagreeing with you. But think about what it is that gold actually is, or diamonds, or platinum, or silver. It's a rock. It's just stuff that came out of the ground, and there just happens to not be that much of it, and so it's just very valuable. What can you actually do with gold? No, I'll wait. Because the value of gold is in the plating of astronaut helmets, and it's a superconductive metal. So when you put it inside of wires and stuff, electricity just flies on through. It's got actual value, but our value of gold existed long before we knew what electricity was and long before we were in space. What can you actually do with gold? Nothing. Not a darn thing. You can't do anything with diamonds either. Those are just rocks. And they were valuable before we had practical applications for them. We didn't actually, they're just shiny and rare. Okay? Pokemon fans know what I'm talking about. Okay? If you don't know what I'm talking about with that, go on YouTube and just search Shiny Ponyta. There was just a kid who played Pokemon, and Pokemon just was a rare shiny one, and he just starts freaking out and thanking all of his friends and family like he won an Academy Award. I have no idea how it is that works, but rare, right? I call it the gold theory. We like it because it's shiny. This is Kobe Bryant's last game. We like it because it's shiny. It's supposed to be a big deal. We've all told ourselves it's a big deal. You're going to see the Lakers play terrible, terrible basketball. I wouldn't have paid money to see Kobe Bryant's last game. I want to pay money to see the last time Kobe Bryant was good, and that was like 3 years ago. Before he tore his Achilles, Kobe Bryant actually had statistically the best season of his career. And not unlike Peyton Manning, when the end came, it didn't come with a warning. It just arrived. So you didn't know he was going to be bad until he showed up, and he was terrible. But looking at Kobe Bryant's career, I understand wanting to be in the building for his last game, but I'm not dropping 800 bones to see the Lakers be awful. I'd rather drop that same amount of money for the last game that Kobe Bryant was good. Once I realized, like, okay, dude's not going to be a good basketball player anymore, I'm out. And I'm certainly, like, if it was, like, reasonable, like, oh, okay, like, $200 to get into the building, that's still excessive for me. Like, maybe I'm just a Wizards fan, and so our tickets tend to be cheap. Like, really inexpensive. But typically, to just be in the building, I'm like, okay, if I really want to sit in the nosebleeds, I can get in for like $15. But I'm willing to pay upwards of $100. You're telling me $800 just to get in? And to get a really good seat, I got to drop $2,100? No, buddy. No, sirree, Bob. I'm not doing that at all. To see a terrible Lakers team and see Kobe Bryant be bad for the last time? Get out of here with that noise. Get out of here. And I might be eating my words tomorrow. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Shake, shake, shake it at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. The most delicious and unique milkshakes. How about this for delicious and different? Add freshly cooked bacon to any milkshake.
Is that even legal?
You bet your milkshake and booty it is. Chocolate caramel bacon shake. Coffee caramel shake. All